So this is so creepy and it's crazy because I have driven past this hotel while I have been in California for many, many years, but I had no recollection, or I at least didn't remember um, until it rung a bell about the Night Stalker that stayed in the Cecil Hotel. So it says the gruesome history of LA's Cecil Hotel. So basically, this article, I guess it gives a rundown because right now on Netflix, this is one of the more popular um, documentaries that is showing on Netflix. And so I guess the big thing about this one hotel is the one of the biggest stories is a young college student from Canada who she went to stay in the hotel. She was 21 years of age and she just disappeared. But later, as the story goes on, her body was found in the tower on the rooftop, like a water tank. A water tank. I said tower. I guess because the building is so tall, so I'm thinking of looking at it. It stands like a tower. This tall tower building has like these four big water tanks at the top of the rooftop, and so there's all this mystery as to how she was missing, and then in the beginning, and there was all these people that were building a lot of speculation as to where she could possibly be, because in the beginning, it was believed that she had just disappeared. There was a disappearance, so they were looking for her. It was an investigation. And then later, as the story goes on, once they do recover her body, then there's all this mystery as to how she got all the way to the rooftop and how the story ended, for her and the mystery behind it. And so there's so much speculation. It went to maybe there was a cover up, maybe somebody in the hotel had something to do with it. Then it even went so far as to blame law enforcement and a cover up between law enforcement and someone in the hotel. Then they even went into where it could have involved a conspiracy of um, infecting the homeless people with TB, because there was an outbreak of TB just days later after her death and them finding her body. Then there was also the paranormal aspect of it, and so believe it or not, and then there were also speculation as to the elevator and how she was acting sort of erratic, and that maybe there was possible someone, a suspect, and the timestamp on the elevator was kind of jumbled where you couldn't see it, and that maybe there was a possibility somebody was involved and they tried to bleep that person out of that film. So this story is really, really, really creepy. But it says the devil works hard, but Netflix works harder, at least when it comes to churning out true crime documentaries. So this story is really interesting because the Cecil Hotel has a long history. um, even goes into it in the documentary about how this hotel used to be this grand hotel. It was more like for travelers. And then as time went by, the hotel, the credibility of it, it went down because of the people who stayed in the hotel and occupied the hotels, like murderers, rapists, killers, and even the infamous Night Stalker. And then this crazy mystery as to how this young college student coming from Canada, a young woman named Eliza Lamb, or Elisa Lamb is, I believe, her name, Elisa Lamb. Um, basically they don't know if it was a suicide or a murder, and so there's all this swirling mystery behind this. And so there, even if you google her name, if you google on there, it'll show like the elevator scene, which is really creepy. And so it just raises a lot of questions. And so they get a lot of visits from people who are trying to figure out, how the story might have taken place, and how it may have ended. So it's really creepy. So uh, you know, it does build your curiosity to want to go to the hotel, but then you think, no, rapists, murderers, killers, haunted hotel, so the hotel has a bad name because of some of the, well, I won't say some of the many deaths that have happened in the hotel. Not even just this one student, but there had been deaths even before that student went to the hotel. So, um, if you look at the documentary, it is really creepy. So it says while we're all still reeling from the doc's release at the end of last year, the Ripper, anyone? So there's other documentaries. So I'm kind of a documentary type person as well. But the streamer has continued to put out a steady stream of new cold case investigations in 2021. First up was The Night Stalker, and so that one, I actually lived through that. So I remember when that happened because I was locking my door because it was a very scary time, which investigated Richard Ramirez's year-long crime spree across California in the 80s, and now Netflix is taking a deeper look at another crime that has not only took place in the Golden State but also interestingly has ties to Ramirez as well. So the crime scene, the vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, delves into the death of Eliza Lamb, or Elisa Lamb. I'm sorry, I don't know why I say Eliza. I'm just thinking of somebody else with the name Eliza, but it's Elisa Lamb, a 21-year-old. She is a college student who disappeared while staying at the titular or I don't know why they put it like that. Downtown. Actually, it was called the Stay. They had changed the name so that they can attract more people to the hotel because it had such a bad name. Cecil, it had a bad history. So they had like the Stay on Main. That's what it was called. And so downtown LA hotel in 2013 was found. She was found dead in a water tank on the hotel roof. Weeks later, her death ultimately classified as an accident, despite the strange circumstances. So, 4-episode docuseries is on Netflix, facing criticism for approaching the tragedy in a way that often feels disrespectful and exploitative as well. But one undeniably compelling part of the story is its setting at the Cecil Hotel has a long history of popping up in some of the country's most gruesome crimes. Here's a rundown of the Cecil Hotel's sordid past, from its opulent beginnings to the 1920s and its involvement in the Black Dahlia and the Night Stalker cases as well. So it has long history of crimes, deaths, and some of the people who stayed in the hotel and the ruthlessness that took place. So amid the financial and cultural boom in the 1920s, Ryuk's art style, Cecil, was officially opened as a business in 1927, backed by several millions of dollars in the investments. 3 hotelers, totaling about 13 million. So, and that was in modern dollars. So back in that time, that was like a lot of money. Well, it's still a lot of money. So it spanned 19 floors, 600 rooms, and earned an early reputation as a classy place to stay in the downtown of LA. Unfortunately, the hotel's owner, within just a few years, the Cecil's opening, the Great Depression sunk in, which not only limited the number of travelers looking for fancy places to stay, but also turned the area surrounding the hotel into what is known as now Skid Row. And so by the 1960s, it was widely known as the suicide. because amid the early struggles of the Cecil's Hotel, things took a turn for the worse in 1931 when the first documented suicide at the hotel took place. Since then, at least a dozen more have occurred per LA's PBS affiliate KCET, prompting several of the hotel's long-term residents to begin referring to it as the suicide in the early 60s. So the Cecil was the site of many other disturbing crimes, especially room prices continued to decline alongside the hotel's changing neighborhood. Throughout the 20th century, the Cecil became a popular hideout for drug dealers, bank robbers, and criminals, and guests were reportedly robbed, attacked, even killed. So one such occurrence that made headlines in 1964 was the sexual assault, brutal murder of a woman called Pigeon Goldie Osgood, who had earned her nickname for her habit of feeding the pigeons in the nearby Pershing Square, and whose death remains unsolved, according to CNN, even till this day. So Lamb's death, among the most recent of these mystery deaths at the hotel as well. So, as detailed, Netflix crime scene and a Canadian student is believed to have died in the rooftop water tank in the early February of 2013. So that's 2013, but wasn't found until February 19th after tenants complained about the water pressure, and an autopsy along with the security footage of the hotel that appeared to show Elisa Lamb behaving erratically in the hours before her disappearance, and it led up to investigators to conclude that her death was an accident. And so the Cecil has a record of involvement in the nation's most infamous crimes. In addition to the notoriety of the ground zero for countless crimes, the Cecil also has a curious habit of popping up some of the country's most heinous criminal cases, even if they didn't actually take place in the hotel. Elizabeth Short, for one, was reportedly seen at the hotel's bar in the days before her horrific and still unsolved murder branded her the Black Dahlia, though those reports have long been disputed as well. So less disputed, however, are records of Richard Ramirez staying at the Hotel Cecil. And so the so-called Night Stalker was regularly seen around Skid Row during the mid-'80s crime spree. And then, as the night clerk at the Cecil told the LA Times, reportedly checked in the hotel for several weeks in July and August of 1985, shortly before his arrest in late of August. And so not long after that, another serial killer called Jack uh, Unterweger of Australia. Okay, so this guy, he reportedly stayed at the Cecil for a time in the summer of 1991 after his previous prison sentence for a murder that had been cut short due to the belief that he had been successfully rehabilitated. So while in LA, he on a reporting assignment, he claimed he was. Prosecutors eventually found Unterweger had killed 3 sex workers while he was there. So, as a result of the long-standing reputation, the Cecil has been the subject of multiple true crimes documentary investigations that served at least partial inspiration for the 5th season of the American Horror Story, which has subtitled "The Hotel Took Place at the Hotel Cortez in the downtown of LA." So they used it in their story. So the hotel's owner has tried to rebrand it on several occasions, several names. So in the documentary, as I was seeing it, they said they called it the I had said it earlier, the Stay on Main. That's what they called it. And so it has been rebranded several times, thinking that maybe it'll have a clean slate so that it can make money. But after nearly a century, the dastardly crimes and the eerie occurrences, you would think Cecil's owners would simply just knock down and definitely crush the hotel, start from scratch. Alas, the building's various owners throughout the years have instead merely attempted to surface level rebrands of the hotel to little or no effect. So 2007, KCET, the new ownership group, brought they had bought the Cecil for 26 million and transformed it. Part of it is the Stay on Main boutique, a mid-priced hotel, though it continued to feature the Cecil Hotel branding to serve as the location of several more crimes as well. So the hotel has since changed once again, and the current owner is launching a major renovation in 2016 that would include totally overhauling much of the building interior. The upgrade is expected to be completed this October, after which only time will tell whether the hotel has finally been given a fresh start. So it is located when you go outside of that hotel around the way it's actually in the Skid Row region. So rebranding and changing the name, it's still the same hotel. So, man, I don't know if I would want to stay there. What do you think about that? So this is by Andrea Park. I found this interesting documentary. Why don't you go check it out? It's on Netflix. But this is very creepy, very scary. I remember the Night Stalker. The thing that scared me about that story was when he went into the house of this woman who she had her own home here in the Los Angeles area, I believe, and he used a hammer. He basically busted her skull with a hammer, and the rumors that went around was that, oh, lock your doors, lock your windows. That he was so clever and sly about breaking into the homes of people, you couldn't hear him breaking in. You could be asleep and he'd be standing over you, and then by that time it was too late. And so it was so creepy. And at that time everybody was like in fear, because to know that somebody could be so sly, and that he was into Satan worshiping. Um, and every time you see him on the news, and then when they did finally catch him, he was always saying that, worshiping Satan. He was always making references, and every time he did any killings, he would leave a pentagram at the scene of the crime. So it was really, really scary time. I remember that. So that was not something, just seeing that is really eerie. But anyway, having said that, this hotel harbors a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, a lot of scare. It is creepy. Boy, I mean, I, just to drive past it, now you think, oh my God, and the name is still on the side of the building. They've never gotten rid of it. I don't care what they do. People know what this hotel is, and they know what happened there. It is scary. But having said that, I'm not let this video go, but this is so creepy. The story in and of itself, you just keep looking at it. It's like, oh my gosh, what's so scary about it is that it's real lives, real people. These are real mysteries, things that really happen. It's not fake. So that's what makes it more scarier. But anyway, and these are things that even people that live here can recall. They know what happened and when these things happened and how they felt and how it made them feel. But anyway, having said that, I'm gonna let this video go. But this was very scary. I have to say that freaking, I just can't get it out of my head. I cannot get it out of my head. It is very scary. But having said that, I'm gonna let this video go. Stay safe, you guys.